are you ready? I have a question for you. What sort of appearance do you like most? Like, what would make you call someone gorgeous? Tell me in the comments down below, and in the meantime, I'll tell you my story. Hi, I'm Penelope, but everyone calls me Penny. I was an ordinary girl with blonde hair and blue eyes. There were dozens of girls like me in our city. That's not true. You're the most beautiful girl in the world. Thanks, Tom, but I know that's not true. Tom was my boyfriend. Don't laugh, but our love story began when we were in kindergarten. Hey, Penny, will you be my girlfriend? Of course! If you share this muffin with me. We had been inseparable ever since, and even planned to get married as soon as we graduated from high school.
I see hardships in your future. Uranus in Virgo.
Blah, blah, blah. That's my best friend, Helen. She was a bit bananas. Sometimes she acted like she was a fortune teller and talked nonsense. But other than that, she was a great girl. That was my life. I hung out with Tom and Helen and spent the rest of my time studying and learning Korean. I loved the culture of that country. And then, one day, the principal called me to his office.
Penny, I've got great news. Remember the competition you won? The one where your knowledge of Korean traditions was tested? Well, now you have the chance to study in Seoul for a year as part of an exchange program.
Really? Thank you, Mr. Smith! I was over the moon! I couldn't believe I would get to study in a country I'd only ever read about. My parents gave their permission, and I quickly packed my things.
You're leaving? What about me?
Tom, it's only for a year. Babe, this is a dream come true for me. Of course, we were both sad to part, but Tom loved me, and he let me go.
Call me and send me at least 20 messages every day.
I will.
This trip will change your life. I see a lot of temptations ahead for you. Retrograde Mercury.
Wow, Helen. Can't you just be happy for me? We hugged, and the very next day, I was on my way to Seoul. Yay! At first, I wandered around the city, staring at everything around me in amazement. The passerby smiled at me and even came up to me to take selfies and chat. It was weird, but nice. On the first day at the new school, a guy immediately ran up to me.
Wow, you look amazing.
How sweet of you. I've never seen anyone as beautiful as you. More guys started coming up to me. They all praised my appearance and suggested we get to know each other better. What was going on? I wasn't used to being the center of attention. Had Helen's predictions actually come true? And that was just the beginning. Not only boys, but even girls kept paying me compliments.
Wow, you're so beautiful. I wish I could look like you. Hachun would have definitely asked me out.
That girl's name was Yumi, and she was head over heels in love with the most handsome boy at school, Hachun. Unfortunately, he didn't notice her at all. However, as soon as he saw me, he blurted out,
"Wow, don't make any plans today. We're going to the amusement park after school."
"You didn't even ask my name. I'm not going anywhere with you." He was persistent, though, and stalked me like an obsessive fan. Ugh! I was sick of that cocky guy's dumb flirting attempts. I have a boyfriend. Do me a favor and get lost. Hachun glared at me and backed off. Finally. However, the next moment, Yumi stormed up to me.
"Listen here, new girl. You are a real beauty, but if you don't leave my boyfriend alone, you'll regret it."
I seethed with indignation, but she didn't listen to me and left. Great. I managed to make enemies on my first day at the new school. I angrily turned around and immediately ran into some guy. "Hey, watch where you're going."
I'd love to, but I can't.
That's when I realized he was blind. I felt terribly ashamed of myself. What was wrong with me? "I'm sorry. My name is Penny. Should I walk you to class?"
Even though I can't see, I know the school like the back of my hand. This is the first time I'm hearing your voice, though. You must be new here.
The guy's name was Song Tae. I introduced myself and we got to talking.
You have a cute accent. I like learning English and reading about American culture.
Really? I won a competition thanks to my knowledge of the Korean culture. We have a lot in common. We spent a lot of time together after that. Song Tae was a part of a special program. He was more educated and interesting than all my new classmates that stared at me like I was some sort of celebrity. Speaking of which, things were getting crazier. Now, not only my classmates, but also random guys on the street came up to me and complimented me. One day, I even had to take a taxi to get away from them. "Hello, babe. I've missed you so much."
Hello, Penny. Why are you so out of breath? You look worried.
I'm fine. It was just a bad day. Of course, I didn't tell Tom anything so I wouldn't upset him. Things kept getting worse. Someone started messing with me at school. They ruined my homework, told the teachers I was cheating, and locked me in the toilet. I started falling behind in my studies. The principal hinted that I could be sent home ahead of time because of my poor academic performance.
I heard you're in trouble. I'll help you if you go on a date with me.
Thanks, I'll pass. Ugh. He was infuriating. Luckily, I had Song Tae, who helped me with homework and supported me in every way possible. But my problems didn't end there. Someone sent my phone number to the school's group chat. All the guys at school lost it and started calling me. I thought I would go nuts. Eventually, I turned off my phone before going to sleep. The next morning, I turned on my phone and saw a ton of messages from Tom.
Where are you? Why aren't you answering your phone? Are you hiding something from me?
Damn it, our relationship was on the rocks because of my annoying classmates. I had to do something about it, but before I could think of anything, Song Tae called me.
Penny, please come over.
What happened?
Please, just come and see. Hurry.
Terrified, I ran out into the street. All sorts of scary thoughts were running through my head. Then, my phone rang again. Song Tae, I'll be there in 5 minutes.
Who is Song Tae?
Oops. Tom, don't get the wrong idea. That's just my classmate. Something bad happened to him.
Penny, we need to have a serious talk.
Babe, later, okay? I'll call you back. I ran into Song Tae's house and saw a table set with candles and flowers. My classmate was standing next to it and smiling. What is all this? Song Tae shyly said that he had arranged it all to confess his feelings.
I've never seen you, but I feel like we're two parts of a whole. Will you be my girlfriend?
You're very sweet, and we have a lot in common, but I already have a boyfriend back at home. You will always be just a friend to me. Sorry.
Never say never. One day I will win your heart.
I didn't know what to say to that. A couple of days later, a joyful Song Tae came up to me in the school hallway.
I'll be able to see soon. Can you believe it?
What? How is that possible?
The doctors examined me and said that thanks to modern technology, they'll be able to partially restore my eyesight.
Song Tae, that's amazing! I'm so happy for you! I hugged my friend. He was so cool. Wait, was I falling in love with him? I had a boyfriend, and I was going to go back soon. The next day, I was called to the principal's office. That wasn't good.
Penelope, your grades have been slipping recently, and I have no choice but to consider sending you back home.
Oh no! I burst into tears, and I told the principal everything. How am I supposed to focus on my studies if my classmates are acting like that?
I know what's going on. There are no people with blonde or blue eyes among Koreans, so your appearance is considered unique and beautiful here.
But of course, that must be it. I asked the principal to give me one last chance, ran out of his office, and tried to think of a way to fix everything. Then, I saw Ha-jun in our classroom. He took my homework out of my backpack and started to ruin it. Had he turned my life at school into a living hell, all because I refused to go out with him? That bastard! I was about to grab his arm, but Yumi beat me to it.
Hey, Ha-jun, let's go out. Leave me alone. You're ordinary, Yumi, and I only like unique girls.
Ordinary? That's when I got a brilliant idea. Can you guess what it was? I put on a black wig, got black contacts, used some makeup, and turned into a real Korean. Annyeong, my name is Penny. And it worked! At school, no one paid attention to me anymore. Boys passed me by, and Ha-jun turned away indifferently when he saw me.
It's you, Penny. You look a bit plain today.
He finally left me alone. Life was wonderful again. My grades improved, and the principal changed his mind about sending me home. It was awesome! I wanted to tell Song Tae about it, but he hadn't come to school in several days. Hey, where have you been?
I'm fine. I'm in the clinic getting ready for the eye surgery. I'll see you soon.
I'll visit you after school. I was in a great mood, and I called Tom to brag about my transformation. Well, how do you like my new look, babe?
I liked your old one better.
It was obvious something was upsetting my boyfriend. It was probably my fault. After all, I hadn't been talking to him much because of the recent events.
I'm sorry, Tommy. Everything will be fine now. I'll be back soon.
And a couple of months passed. No one bothered me at school anymore, so I kept studying without any issues. After school, I visited Song Tae in the clinic. He was recovering after the surgery, and he could already see vague outlines of things around him. Can you imagine? I helped him keep up with the school curriculum, and we spent a lot of time together. Song Tae was still in love with me. I cared about him too, but I couldn't betray Tom. By the way, Tom and I made up. We constantly texted each other and called each other every evening. Tom would tell me about his and Helen's lives without me. No matter what happens, don't listen to her predictions. And then Song Tae came back to school. Now he was wearing huge glasses, but he could see. As soon as he came back, I gave him a tour of our school. This is what our classroom looks like, and that's our principal.
And this is what you look like. I can see you now.
I blushed. Song Tae was smiling so sincerely that my heart trembled. I also felt a bit guilty since this wasn't what I really looked like. But to be honest, I was scared that he would start acting weird too. So I wore my wig and my contacts when we walked around the city. Then the spring holidays came. 3 whole days without school. I missed Tom terribly, so I decided to surprise him. I bought a plane ticket, but didn't tell my boyfriend I was coming. I flew home and I hurried to Tom's place. I saw him from afar and I was about to call his name when, what was that? Helen came up to Tom and hugged him, and he kissed her gently. My boyfriend and my best friend had betrayed me. How could they do that to me? Tom, what are you doing?
Penny, what are you doing here?
I wanted to surprise you, but I see you're way ahead of me. Denying it was useless. It turned out they had been together for a while now. They started dating in secret before I'd left. Now it was clear to me what Helen meant when she said my trip would change my life. She stole my boyfriend!
I'm sorry, Penny. I wanted to tell you the truth, but then I got mad at you and I changed my mind.
It seems our relationship really meant nothing to you, huh? I turned around and I left. Looking at those traitors was unbearable. I blocked them and flew back to Korea a day later. I was in a terrible mood, but everything changed when Song Tae met me at the airport. He brought me to a restaurant and we had a romantic dinner. Since I didn't have a boyfriend anymore, I could date Song Tae. However, I didn't want our relationship to be built on a lie. I need to tell you something. This isn't actually what I look like.
What do you mean?
Give me a minute and I'll show you. I went into the bathroom, took off my wig and contacts, washed off my makeup, and came back. I braced myself, but Song Tae didn't act like an obsessed psycho. He just smiled.
You're still beautiful.
How can you be so calm? I said that all the boys at school used to stare at me when I looked like that and told him about the explanation the principal had given me for their behavior. There are no people with blonde hair among Koreans, so everyone here thinks I'm really beautiful.
I get it now. I lost my sight when I was very young, so it makes no difference to me.
Unbelievable! Song Tae was the only one who wasn't affected by my appearance. I hugged him and we became an item. I was myself again. Of course, my classmates started hitting on me again, but Song Tae protected me from everyone like a real knight. Over time, I stopped paying attention to everyone else's interest in me. Moreover, I felt much more confident now. Before coming to Korea, I'd always thought I was completely unremarkable. I studied in Korea for a whole year, but eventually, it was time for me to go home. Song Tae was sad because he didn't want to let me go. I didn't want to part with him either, but there was nothing I could do. I couldn't stay in Seoul any longer. At the airport, we held hands for a long time, and Song Tae promised we would see each other again soon.
I'll find a way. Just wait for me.
Of course, babe. I'm not gonna forget you that easily. I got on a plane and went back home. At first, I just sat in my room and felt sorry for myself. We kept texting each other and didn't break up, but it was hard to be so far apart. The summer holidays flew by and I came back to my old school. I saw Tom and Helen again, but I wasn't mad at them anymore. After all, thanks to them, I met a guy who really loved me. We even started talking again, and I told them how much I missed Song Tae.
I see an unexpected meeting in your future. The stars have aligned.
Oh, Helen, please don't start again. I don't believe in your predictions. Then my phone rang. It was Song Tae.
Hello, my love. I have incredible news for you.
I'm going to be studying in your school this year.
What? This is... I squealed with joy, and Helen and Tom looked at me like I was crazy. I counted the days until Song Tae's arrival and dreamed about being his classmate again. And then he finally came.
See, I kept my promise. We're together again.
I'm so glad you didn't forget about me. Distance didn't destroy our relationship. I showed Song Tae around the city. We came to school together, and then, wow, you look amazing.
Oh, how sweet of you.
I've never seen anyone as handsome as you. What? It couldn't be. My classmates lost their minds when they saw my boyfriend. Everyone wanted to get to know him. After all, there was no one that looked like him in our school.
Penny, I don't know what's gotten into them.
I do. Come on, we need to go to the mall.
Why?
To buy you a wig and contacts. Hi, I'm Eve. I'm 13, and I'm not gonna tell you my story. Not for the world. You don't want to see agents in black glasses burst through your door and be like, hey, you know too much. We're gonna erase your memory. Do you? Hey, don't turn around. They're already behind you. I'm kidding. Relax. My story is shrouded in mystery, though. Please like this video, and let's get started. My mother and I live in a small town. Mom was an engineer and worked for the Robo-Friends company. They made, you guessed it, robots. Cool, right? However, when I was 5 or so, I thought Mom was a robot too. Quit laughing, I'm serious. It all began when I went for a walk in the park. There were many other families there. All of the other parents were hugging their children, laughing and eating ice cream with them. However, we were different. While I was playing in the sandbox, my mom was sitting on a bench and staring ahead without blinking. Some mean girl suddenly called her weird. My parents say that your mom looks like a robot because she has no emotions. Her words made my blood boil, and I decided to tell my mom a joke and prove to everyone those rumors were complete nonsense. What worm doesn't live underground? A gummy one! Mom looked at me indifferently and turned away again.
Very funny, sweetie.
That's when I realized for the first time that I had never seen my mom smile or cry. When we watched The Lion King, I was blubbering, but my mother just patted my head and repeatedly, tonelessly, said that everything would be fine in the end. There really was a happy ending. Obviously, Mom knew that because she'd already watched the cartoon. But back then, I thought she was a robot who could see the future. One day, I saw a movie on TV about cyborgs that looked just like real people. The protagonist taught the other people in the movie how to tell if someone was a robot. First of all, robots had no sense of humor. Yeah, that sounded like my mom. Who wouldn't laugh at a joke about gummy worms? Robots also had no sense of taste. Mom once made me a very spicy soup. When I tasted it, it felt like smoke was gonna start coming out of my ears. But my mom was completely fine. And finally, robots were afraid of water. I decided to check. That night, I took a jug, crept into Mom's bedroom, and poured water on her. She immediately woke up and jumped out of the bed scared.
Eve, why would you do that?
Anyone would have been freaked out, but I thought it meant Mom was afraid of water. Now, I had no doubt that she was a robot. I spent the next day staring at her and poking her to find her off button. Maybe if I booped Mom's nose, she'd fall asleep. Boop.
Eve, stop it.
What if I poked Mom's eye?
Eve?
Oh, that was so dumb of me. I'm 13 now, and I realized it was just me imagining things at that time. Unfortunately, my relationship with my mom hadn't changed much since then. I'd always wished she'd hugged me more and talked to me warmly. She rarely showed any emotions, and raised me to be the same. The other kids thought I was weird and didn't want to be friends with me because of it. I liked math and exact sciences. All of that made me the biggest weirdo at school. Mr. Calculator was my only friend. Yeah, don't laugh. I was allergic to animal hair, so I couldn't have any pets. But one day, everything changed. I went to a chess club on the weekends. Besides me, only old people from the nursing home came there. That's when I was surprised when I saw a boy my age. He walked around with a ruler and measured everything that caught his eye. I was playing against Mr. Goodman, but the old man fell asleep while he was thinking about his next move. So, I decided to talk to the newcomer. Hi, what are you doing?
Oh, this is my friend, Ms. Ruler. I use it to measure everything when I come to a new place. I'm Kevin. I'm weird, I know.
You think you're weird? Let me introduce you to my friend, Mr. Calculator. Kevin and I had a lot in common. We loved numbers, chess, and pineapple pizza, so we quickly became friends and started to hang out. One day, we walked out of the cinema and ran into some guys. They were from Kevin's school, and they didn't look friendly. One of them was called Paul, and he seemed to be angry at my friend for something.
Hey, I thought I told you to stay out of my sight.
I couldn't believe the nerve of that spoiled brat, and I decided to put him in his place. According to probability theory, the chances of two people living in a small city being on the same street at the same time are incredibly high.
What? Kevin, tell your girlfriend that I don't speak nerd.
Of course not. You'd need a brain for that. They scowled and left, and Kevin and I gave each other a high five. For the first time ever, I felt like I had found someone who understood me. One day, I asked him over. Mom made pizza. I don't recommend eating it though. She's such a bad cook that I thought she was a robot when I was a kid. Can you imagine? Then, I told Kevin that my mom was an engineer and about all those funny situations that made me think that she used to be a robot. To my surprise, he turned gloomy and showed me an article that said 13 years ago, Robo Friends had been developing humanoid robots. The project had apparently been closed and no one knew why. There had been rumors about the robots getting out of control and escaping.
13 years ago, that's when you were born. What if you were right and your mom really is a runaway robot from the company?
What? I was not a little kid anymore. I wouldn't believe nonsense like that. But on the other hand, there were too many strange coincidences. I didn't have grandparents, I didn't know anything about my dad, and Mom acted like we weren't even related. What if she had stolen me from my real family when I was a baby to avoid suspicion? I got goosebumps when I thought about it. Ugh. I asked Kevin to help me get to the truth, and he happily agreed. I realized that my mom often had dinner in her office. She said that she was busy, but what if she was just hiding the fact that she didn't consume human food? Kevin and I followed Mom and saw her buy several cans of engine oil.
That's probably her fuel.
I wasn't about to believe my mom was a robot that easily, so we kept watching her. That's how we found out that whenever Mom went for her evening run, she often just sat motionless in the park and stared ahead. One day, I heard a strange noise coming from her office, like static on the radio, and then there were more weird sounds, like there was a bunch of animals in there. I looked into the room and I saw that Mom was alone. She quickly stood in front of the table and told me to leave. Had she made those sounds? Soon, I snuck into Mom's bedroom. I wanted to rummage through her things and see if there was anything suspicious among them, but she suddenly walked into the room and I quickly had to hide in the closet. As I sat there, I accidentally overheard her phone conversation.
Eve is growing suspicious. We need to finish the project as soon as possible.
Had she figured out that I knew the truth? What project was she talking about? Was Mom planning to take over humanity? Maybe I'd watched too many movies, but I was really scared. I got out of the closet and I went to Kevin.
You should make your mom show her true face.
But how was I supposed to do that? Mom was so emotionless. If I said that an asteroid was flying towards Earth, she would have probably said emotionlessly, "Okay, honey, don't forget to do your homework." And then Kevin had an idea.
You should make her angry. Remember my classmate Paul? His parents have a comic book store. Sneak in there and destroy something. Your mom would definitely react to that.
I appreciated Kevin's help, but ruining other people's things was going too far. I refused to do it, and he scowled.
You know, Eve, you're suspicious too. You get perfect marks, you have no friends, and you don't like vampire series, unlike the other girls. Maybe you're a robot too. I think I'm gonna stay away from you from now on.
What? At first, I thought Kevin was joking, but he frowned and slammed the door in my face. What the heck? Can you believe it? Okay, all I had to do was prove to him that I was human and expose my mom. So I went to Paul's parents' comic book store and started walking between the shelves. He immediately saw me and came over.
I remember you. You're Kevin's girlfriend. There's something you should know about him.
Before Paul could finish, I knocked a comic book rack to the floor. Paul grabbed his head. His parents came running and shouted that they would call my mom. I smiled because that was exactly what I was trying to achieve. Soon, Mom came to the store, paid for the damaged goods, and took me home. There, she started to shout and scold me. That was the first time in my life I saw her emote.
You've always been so good. What happened to you?
I just wanted to be sure that you're human.
What are you talking about? Of course I'm human.
Then prove it. I asked her to tell me about my grandparents and my dad, but Mom got even angrier and forbade me from bringing it up again. Ugh! We fought for so long that my voice got hoarse. I couldn't stand it any longer, and I ran away from home. Besides Kevin, I had no one to talk to, so I came to his place. I couldn't help but burst into tears.
I'm glad you wrecked Paul's store. Since you can cry, you're definitely human. I'm sorry I doubted you.
Kevin invited me into the kitchen and left to call someone. While I was waiting for him, I suddenly remembered Paul's words. He said I should know something about Kevin. I wondered what he meant by that. Then Kevin walked back into the room with his dad, who was a cop.
Here she is, Dad. She's the weirdo I told you about. She thinks her mom is a cyborg. Can you imagine? She's so messed up. She also vandalized a store and ran away from home.
Can you believe it? I thought he was pranking me at first. Were there hidden cameras filming me? I tried to explain to the cop that his son's imagination was running wild, but he indifferently replied that he would take me to child services so that they could check my mental state and assess how safe it was for me to stay at home. It was nuts. Why had Kevin set me up like that? Things only got worse after that. The child services employees talked to me for a long time, and in the end, they told me that I would have to stay in an orphanage for a while. The worst thing was I didn't have anyone to call. Kevin turned out to be a traitor, and Mom had apparently never loved me at all because her mechanical heart wasn't capable of it. Oh, Mr. Calculator, you're my only friend again. One day, I was feeling particularly sad and lonely, and the teacher in the orphanage, Mrs. Will, came up to me and suggested we play chess. I gladly agreed. As we played, I told my story to the old lady.
You remind me of someone. A very smart girl used to live in this orphanage. She was abandoned by everyone, left with no love and parental warmth. So she grew up very reserved. Her photos are probably still in the archive. Let me check.
The teacher found the album, and I couldn't believe my eyes when I saw the pictures. The girl had a mole in the same place as my mom. And then the teacher told me what the girl's name was. And it dawned on me that it was my mom in the photo. So that's why she was so weird. Now it was clear why she hadn't wanted to talk to me about her parents. They had abandoned her. I was glad to have proof that Mom wasn't a robot. And I also felt terribly sorry for her, and I wanted to see her. I escaped from the orphanage and I went home. But then I accidentally ran into Paul. Our town really was too frickin' small. To my surprise, he wasn't mad at me for what I'd done.
I know that Kevin got you into trouble. I'm sorry.
It was clear now why Kevin really didn't have any friends. The dirty liar had a rotten personality. He framed or betrayed everyone he'd ever been friends with. One day, Paul almost got into trouble because of him and promised to get back at him. So Kevin had decided to use me against him. That coward! That vile bastard! Well, never mind. He wouldn't get away with it. First, I had to talk to my mom. I apologized to Paul and I rushed home. I couldn't believe my eyes when I got there. Mom was sitting in the living room looking at a picture of me and sobbing. Had she missed me? That was the first time I saw my mom cry. I immediately threw my arms around her. Mom, I'm sorry for everything. We talked for a long time. We cried and laughed as we finally cleared everything up. Mom said that she had only bought those cans of oil because they were being sold at a discount. She was always lost in thought when she sat on the bench in the park because that's where she had met Dad, and she liked thinking about that day.
Your dad was a brave pilot. I'm sorry I didn't tell you about him. I'll do better.
Then I remembered the strange phone conversation I'd overheard while hiding in the closet.
Oh, I was just discussing a project I was working on with my colleagues. I didn't want you to find out about it ahead of time. After all, it was a gift for you.
Then, Mom showed me a robot puppy that she'd built for me. Wow! I couldn't have any pets because of my allergies. Until now. Can I call him Calculator?
Of course, sweetie.
Of course, before I could come back home, my mother and I had to prove that we were a normal family. But soon, it was all finally over. My mom and I were closer than ever. One evening, I was playing with my puppy outside when I saw Kevin. He was walking next to some guy and pointing at my house.
The family that lives there is crazy. They think they're robots, you know?
Ugh, did he find a new friend to betray? I wanted to pounce on Kevin, but then Mom came out on the porch and gave me a sly wink so I would play along. Then she started to move like a robot and clapped her hands. The garage doors opened smoothly, and a buzzing lawnmower came out. It drove her on the lawn while my robot puppy was barking. Kevin's eyes were the size of saucers.
They really are all robots. Ah!
He got so scared he ran away with his tail between his legs. My mom and I laughed and explained to Kevin's new friend that it was just Mom's invention. An automatic lawnmower controlled by claps. I hoped our prank would teach Kevin a lesson. As for the article about humanoid robots that supposedly became conscious and ran away from the company, I never found out if it was true. Do you think your parents could be cyborgs?
Dad looked into the room and was very surprised to see my sister and me hugging each other.
Am I dreaming, or are you finally getting along? I'm going to tell your mom the good news.
Bridget and I were not, in fact, hugging. Our hair just got tangled when we were fighting. As soon as Dad left, we went back to it. Get off me, you leech! You started it first, Bridget! Hi, I'm Angelina, and I'm 16. Sharing a room with my 15-year-old sister was like being stuck in a living nightmare. Bridget and I fought like cats and dogs all the time. It all began when we were kids. I had always been a well-behaved and calm child. Mom and Dad praised me and told my sister to be more like me.
Angelina, have you washed the dishes? Sweetie, thank you for helping me around the house.
Bridget was terribly jealous of me and tried to get our parents to notice her. However, she always failed spectacularly. One day, she washed Dad's laptop in the sink. Look, I'm helping around the house too. I did good, right? Of course, our parents got angry and scolded her. One day, they bought me a new doll to reward me for doing great at school. Bridget got so mad she flushed my notebooks down the toilet. She was punished for that as well. My sister harbored a grudge against me ever since. She thought our parents loved me more, so she copied everything I did and tried to surpass me. For example, I had always been very flexible and started doing gymnastics in high school. My sister decided to prove that she was just as good and joined the cheerleading club. One day, a classmate of mine asked me to show her how to do the splits. Bridget came up to us, said she could do something much cooler, and did the splits between two desks. Jeez, I was so tired of my sister copying everything I did. She bought clothes just like mine, did her hair like mine, and even tried to steal my friends. We constantly fought because of that. Our parents were tired of it, but they always took my side.
You got into a fight again and broke my favorite vase. Bridget, why can't you be more like your sister?
Why am I not surprised? Angelina is perfect, while I always get blamed for everything. What the heck? Ha! It served her right. She should have left me alone. But one day, my sister went too far. I found out that that little pest decided to take part in the annual charity masquerade ball. I dreamed of setting up a charity in the future and tried to help the community ever since I was a kid. For example, I sold cookies and used the money I earned to buy toys for an orphanage. For that, I got nominated for the city award, Person of the Year. I was supposed to get my award at that masquerade ball. I made a gorgeous dress and a lion mask for the occasion myself. But, of course, my envious sister couldn't just let me enjoy it. She started working part-time at an animal shelter and got nominated for the award too. What infuriated me the most was she copied my dress. Except she got a cheetah mask, like that made it okay. Bridget thought her outfit looked much better than mine. That was the last straw for me. Stop trying to outshine me. You look like my pathetic copy. Just because you're older doesn't give you the right to boss me around. I'll do whatever I want. Her words made my blood boil. We fought again, and our hair got tangled together. You saw that at the beginning of the video. Dad thought we'd finally made up, but he couldn't have been more wrong. When I went to the bathroom to brush my teeth that evening, I saw Bridget eavesdropping on our parents by their bedroom door. What are you doing? Spying on them? Shh! They are discussing something interesting. Now I was curious. I pressed my ear against the door, and the two of us eavesdropped on our parents. Wow! They were talking about giving someone a cruise ticket as a present!
She has been doing so well this year. She deserves it. I'm sure she'll love it.
Mom and Dad didn't say who they were talking about, but it was obvious they meant one of us. The question was, who would get the ticket? Of course they meant me. Dream on. We pretended not to know anything about the surprise, but did everything to be chosen as the gift recipient. Mom, Dad, I made you breakfast. You call this breakfast? Never mind that. I cleaned up in the garage. Check it out. However, Mom and Dad were in no hurry to tell us who would get the ticket. A few days later, they told us they were going to visit our grandma in the nursing home.
Girls, we'll be gone for a couple of days. We can count on you to behave, right?
Bridget and I made innocent faces and promised not to cause any trouble. We knew they were testing us. Whoever did better while they were gone would get the gift. Bridget must have realized she wouldn't beat me in a fair fight. So, when I was changing after practice that evening, she snuck into the locker room, crept up to me from behind, pushed me into a locker, and locked it. Hey, you little witch! Let me out right now! I don't feel like it. Have a nice weekend! With those words, she left, happy she got rid of her rival. The worst thing was that she also took my phone, which I'd left lying on a bench, and now I couldn't even call for help. There was no one in the building anymore. Shouting was pointless. Damn it! Would I really have to spend the whole weekend there? I almost burst into tears. But then, I pulled myself together and started to kick the locker door. Just a little more! The door finally fell out and I was able to get out! You better sleep with two eyes open, Bridget! This means war! I went home, planning to get back at her, but I was in for an unpleasant surprise. There was a party in full swing in our house! Can you believe it? Guys from our school and even some boys I didn't recognize were there. There were so many people I barely squeezed inside. What was my insufferable sister up to? I ran around the house looking for Bridget, but she was nowhere to be found. The party guests suddenly picked me up and started to throw me in the air like I was some sort of rock star. Put me down! What are you doing?
Thanking you for throwing the party, of course.
What? I jumped down and demanded an explanation. You were the one who invited everyone. That guy opened my social media page and showed me the video I'd apparently posted.
What's up, you guys? It's me, Angelina. Come over. I'm throwing a party.
Except it wasn't me, but Bridget in my dress. Was that why she'd stolen my phone? She wanted our parents to think it was all my doing. At that moment, a new post appeared on my page. My sister had posted photos of herself throwing away the toys I had given to the kids in the orphanage. She was still wearing my lion mask. Oh no! Bridget decided to not only get the cruise ticket, but also destroy my reputation. I was about to lose it. She wouldn't get away with it. I asked to borrow my classmate's phone to track my sister down. Sure, here. Thank you, Stan. You're a darling. Oh yeah, I almost forgot. Get out of here! I didn't have time to wait for the guests to leave. I had to stop Bridget before she pulled another stunt. I put her dress and cheetah mask into my backpack just in case and hurried to the orphanage. However, by the time I got there, she was already gone. I was met by crying children.
You're mean, Angelina. You threw away our toys.
Sweetie, it wasn't me. It was my evil sister in a mask. I promise I'll get your toys back. Don't say anything to the grown-ups yet, okay? I was furious with Bridget. How could she do that to innocent children? I tried to call her, but she didn't answer. Where was I supposed to look for her now? I didn't want to stoop to Bridget's level, but I realized I could only defeat my sister if I used her methods. I was glad I'd taken her fancy dress with me. I quickly changed into it and ran to the animal shelter where she worked. Then, I put on her cheetah mask and approached the dog cages. Hi, doggies. Sitting in cages is boring, isn't it? Don't worry, I'll let you out. Sis shouldn't have messed with me. I opened all the cages, freeing the animals, and made sure the surveillance cameras caught it all. Now, everyone would think Bridget did it. All the dogs ran away. Meanwhile, I used my classmate's phone to take a few selfies next to the empty cages in the cheetah mask and sent them to my parents. That was it. I could play dirty too. Next, I went to the school gym. I wanted to ruin the costumes of the cheerleaders because Bridget was the team captain. She would get neither the ticket nor the award. To my surprise, I saw my sister on a bench there. She was eating a hot dog. What? Are you taking a break from being a menace? Angelina? Oops! She dropped the hot dog and started running away. I chased after her. We ended up in a park and started fighting on the ground. However, we quickly ran out of steam and collapsed on the grass. I told my sister what I had done. What? How could you do that? You started it. Don't complain now. Bridget glared at me and suddenly burst out crying. You think it's fair that I had to fight for our parents' love my whole life? They were always telling me to be more like you. Perfect, Angelina! I've always been in your shadow. I didn't know what to say. After all, I never thought about it like that. Mom and Dad had always supported me. I couldn't say the same about my sister. My heart sank as I watched her cry. I couldn't stand it and burst into tears too. We hugged, apologized to each other, and promised not to compete anymore. Let's be friends from now on. Yeah! Oh, we both crossed the line tonight. We need to fix everything. My phone vibrated in Bridget's pocket. She handed it to me, and I saw that it was the director of the orphanage calling. Oh no, he found out about the toys because the kids were inconsolable and was now pissed off. Mr. Brooks, I'll fix it. Yes, you will, because if you don't, I'll make sure you'll lose both the award and permission to do charity work. My sister said she would help me. We ran to the orphanage, jumped into a dumpster, and started to look for the toys. Banana peels, socks full of holes, a dirty diaper. Found it! We spent a long time washing the toys, but the kids refused to take them back.
You ruined them. We don't want to play with them anymore.
Mr. Brooks was fuming. But then, Bridget said that she had an idea. She took her phone and bought everyone tickets to an amusement park. The kids were satisfied, and I breathed a sigh of relief. But then, Bridget got a call from the owner of the animal shelter and said that she would be in a world of trouble if she didn't bring all the dogs back right away. Damn, how do I do that? Don't panic, I have a plan. Where did you buy that hot dog? We ran to the fast food truck and ordered a bunch of hot dogs. And then, we ran around the streets with them, looking for the dogs. Hey doggy, I have something delicious for you. You'll get it if you follow me. Soon, we managed to lead the animals back. Phew! My sister and I were exhausted, covered in dog hair, and smelled like garbage. But what mattered was we made things right. Or did we? We got a call again. This time, it was our neighbors. They said they were calling the police because the music in our house was too loud. Bridget and I looked at each other in horror. Oh no! We'd forgotten about the party! By some miracle, we convinced our neighbors not to call the cops. We had to promise we would mow their lawn for a whole month for them to agree. Finally, we ran home. It was nuts! The party got out of control. There were even more people there now. How do we chase everyone away? Any ideas? She nodded slyly and turned on the sound of police sirens on the speakers. I shouted that the cops were coming and they would arrest everyone. It worked! Everyone ran. Bridget and I collapsed in the middle of the trashed living room. We need to clean up this mess before Mom and Dad come back. It probably doesn't even matter anymore. We'll be grounded anyway. I sent them a selfie when I let the dogs out of the cages. I took my classmate's phone to show it to my sister. But then, I saw that Mom and Dad hadn't seen my message yet. There was still hope. I deleted it and got up. Come on, Bridget, we've got work to do. We spent the rest of the night cleaning up the house after the party. We chatted and joked as we worked, and it brought us closer. We shouldn't have competed like total morons for so many years. After all, we had a lot in common. Soon, the house was sparkling clean. The sun was rising when we passed out, cuddling, right on the living room floor. Love you, Angelina.
Oh, love you too, sis.
We were terribly tired and slept through most of the day. That evening, we were woken up by our parents.
Oh no, have you been fighting again?
No, Dad, this was a real hug. Our parents were stunned, and then we admitted we knew about the cruise ticket. Give it to Bridget. She deserves to finally be put first. Nope, Angelina deserves it more. Mom and Dad looked even more surprised. It turned out they bought the cruise ticket for Grandma.
We left you alone this weekend to give her the ticket. Why did you think it was for you?
What a turn! Bridget and I looked at each other and suddenly both started laughing like crazy. What a mess! At least we finally found a common language. I also told our parents they should dote on my sister more. You're right, girls. It's our fault you spent so many years fighting. Things are going to change now. The masquerade ball took place soon. Unfortunately, neither Bridget nor I won the contest. My classmate Stan got the award instead. Remember that nice guy that let me borrow his boat? My sister and I weren't upset at all. After all, we realized that you shouldn't expect anything in return when you're doing something good. Congrats, Stan. You deserve it. Wow, I'm popular today. Be careful, don't start fighting over me. Nothing in the world could make us fight again.
Hi, I'm Abby. Dad has always been my best friend. I was in my freshman year at college and he owned a small recycling company. It didn't make a lot of money, but it was an honest business, and that was more important for me than rolling in it. Dad was always trying to control who I was hanging out with. Whenever someone asked me out, he would always put them through the ringer.
I'm not gonna let you date just anyone.
You're probably thinking that drove me up the wall, aren't you? No, on the contrary, I liked feeling so loved. By the way, have you liked this video and subscribed to the private diary channel yet? Please do that now if you haven't already. And then, one day, things went downhill. Dad's business wasn't doing so well. He never had enough money. He sold his car and mortgaged our house. But even that didn't help. I got a part-time job at a flower shop to help Dad and hoped that we were just going through a rough patch and luck would soon smile on us again. One evening, I was preparing the flower shop for closing. I'd already turned off our sign and was waiting for Dad to go home together. But then some pompous guy came rushing in. He had blonde hair and was wearing fashionable clothes. Sorry, we're closed. But the guy was in no hurry to leave. He took out a bunch of dollar bills and held them like a fan.
Are you sure about that?
I rolled my eyes and realized that I would get rid of the arrogant jerk faster if I just gave him what he wanted. Soon, he finally chose a bouquet and smugly handed it to me.
You're too beautiful to work in this hole. Come on a date with me. I'll show you a sky full of diamonds.
His cheap pickup line didn't work on me, and I turned him down. At that moment, Dad walked into the store. To my surprise, he suddenly got mad and told me to apologize.
That's Larry. His father is a rich banker. If you married him, we wouldn't have to worry about money anymore.
I couldn't believe Dad would bend his morals so easily. I really didn't want to go out with Larry, but I had to give him a chance to help Dad.
Be nice to him, Abby.
No promises. Larry drove me to an expensive restaurant and spent the whole evening talking about himself. I put up with his pretentious speeches, but I couldn't stand how rude he was to the waiter. That became the last straw for me. Just because your dad is a rich banker doesn't mean you can act like a jerk. There's no way I'd ever date someone like you. Bye. I didn't wait for the end of the date to leave. Dad was furious with me when he found out about it.
We might end up on the street because of your principles. Call Larry and beg him for forgiveness now.
Never! We fought all through the night. The next morning, I said I was moving out and slammed the door on my way out. No one was allowed to make me compromise my ideals. Not even my dad. For a few days, I stayed over at my friend's house. But things couldn't go on like that for long. I needed to find somewhere new to live. Luckily, I soon heard about a new online reality show called Dorm House. Several students were supposed to live together and try to get along. It was going to be broadcast live on the internet for a month. The last student to leave would get a prize, $1 million. Wow, Dad could pay off all our debts if I got that much money. Besides, I had nowhere to live at the moment, so I decided I had nothing to lose, and I applied to take part in the reality show. To do that, I had to fill out an online questionnaire full of weird questions. For example, for some reason, the producers wanted to know about my phobias and the problems I faced lately. That made me wary, but I honestly wrote that I hated it when there was a mess at home, and that a banker's son with no manners had taken me out on a terrible date recently. A few hours after that, the producer, Mr. Clark, contacted me and said I'd been chosen, and they were looking forward to working with me.
Congratulations, Abby. You are now a participant of the Dorm House project.
I signed a contract and I moved into the dorm. It looked like a large 2-story house with a swimming pool and lots of rooms. It didn't even bother me I was going to be filmed by dozens of cameras for the next month. Now, all that was left to do was to get to know the rest of the participants. Unfortunately, I was in for a shock. It turned out I was the only girl there. The other 7 participants were guys. This could spell trouble. All the boys were different. For example, Joe loved playing computer games, and Max liked boxing. The only thing we all had in common was the determination to win the prize. A cocky, handsome guy called Tyler stood out the most. He was obviously used to being a leader and immediately started acting like he owned the place.
Let's throw a party. Guys, get the barbecue ready. And you, baby, make some lemonade for us.
My name is Abby, not Baby, and don't try to boss me around. I went to my room and I tried to focus on studying, but it was useless. The boys turned up the music and it was way too loud. And then they started to argue about which one of them would win the prize.
You should give up now. There's no way I'm gonna lose to you.
I came out of my room to tell them to keep it down, and I was horrified by what I saw. It had only been a day, but the house already looked like a dump. I wouldn't survive a month in filth. I had to do something. I came up to the boys and I suggested we act like a team instead of fighting each other. Let's treat each other like friends for the next month and then split the prize money. They gave it some thought, but eventually agreed. Tyler was the only one who didn't approve of my plan.
No way in hell. The fewer participants by the end of the show, the more money they'll get.
Luckily, the other guys didn't take his side, and everyone agreed to live by the rules I came up with. No noise after 8 in the evening and no fighting. Everyone was supposed to clean up after themselves and shower according to a schedule. For several days, it was blissfully clean and quiet. After a while, Dad called me and said he'd watched several episodes of my reality show on the internet. He was furious I was living with boys.
Enough of this nonsense. Come home and date Larry.
I told you, never. I'll win the money that you need to pay off your debts. Don't worry about the boys. We've come to an understanding. They'll behave. I couldn't have been more wrong. That same night, there was a heavy downpour and lightning outside. As a result, the power went out in the dorm and it was plunged into darkness. I tried to fall asleep, but then I heard a terrified scream. Everyone looked out into the hallway and saw one of the boys running outside, shaking with fear. It turned out he was afraid of the darkness and could only sleep with a nightlight on. Even just a minute without it had driven him to a panic attack.
I can't do this. I'm going home.
He left the show that very night, and the next morning, strange things kept happening. We all came down to the kitchen and saw cockroaches there. They were everywhere, even in the fridge. Ew! One guy fainted when he saw them. It turned out he was deathly afraid of cockroaches. When the poor guy came to, he immediately packed up his things and left the show. Now that was suspicious. It was like someone had sniffed out the secret phobias of all the participants. And now they were using the information to get rid of their competitors one by one. Judging by how tense the boys looked, I wasn't the only one who thought so.
It seems one of us isn't playing by the rules. How cunning. I told you, we can't be friends. This is a competition, not a summer camp. Then from now on, it's every man for himself.
Everyone started shouting at each other again. I tried to calm the guys down, but that just made them turn against me.
Why are you being so kind, Abby? It's suspicious. We're competitors. I bet you're the one behind this.
Our temporary truce ended and the war began. The boys didn't even try to pretend they weren't messing with each other. Some of them endured, but some couldn't handle the pressure and left the show. I didn't have it easy either. The guys stopped cleaning up after themselves. Flies were flying over the dirty dishes in the sink. There were piles of trash on the floor. The pool had turned into a swamp. Living in these conditions was so hard for me. I gritted my teeth and I kept cleaning up by myself. But one day, They crossed a freaking line. I went to take a shower according to the schedule and was about to take off my towel when Tyler burst into the bathroom. Are you nuts? It's not your turn to shower yet. Get out!
No one cares about your stupid schedule anymore. I'll take a shower whenever I want. You get out.
Dang it! Arguing with that bastard was useless. I ran to my room and I was about to start packing when I got a call from Dad.
Abby, things are bad. If I don't pay off the debt by the end of the month, we'll lose our house. Swallow your pride and apologize to Larry. His father could save us.
No way. Trust me, Dad, I'm getting this money. I hung up, put my suitcase away, and decided to fight to the end. I'm done playing nice. It's time to accept the rules of this game. I stopped cooking dinner for everyone, washing the dishes, and cleaning up. No one else did it except for me. So the dorm soon turned into a dump again. One of the guys couldn't stand it and left the show. Great. I would get rid of all the competition. The boys did their best to turn the lives of the other competitors into a living hell. Imagine my shock when Tyler suddenly changed his tune.
Look at yourselves. You're acting worse than animals.
He tried to reason with everyone, but no one listened to him. Who are you trying to fool? We know you want to win more than any of us. Just admit you're scared. By the end of the month, there were only 4 participants left. The stakes were high and we could all feel the tension in the air. But I felt safe because I had more fans than any of the guys. A lot of people were rooting for me and betting on my victory. Joe decided to get Max to leave. To do that, he spilled oil by the pool. He wanted Max to slip and fall into the pool filled with smelly green water. But Tyler noticed the trap and decided to step in. He pushed Max away but fell into the pool himself. He twisted his ankle in the process. We called a doctor and Tyler was taken to a hospital. He had to leave the show after that incident.
Tyler sacrificed himself to save me. He's a real friend.
Joe, Max, and I looked at each other grimly and realized our feud had gone too far. Tyler was right. We're acting like rabid animals. Let's stop setting each other up and split the winnings at the end of the month. The boys agreed, and things finally calmed down, but not for long. The very next day, our producer, Mr. Clark, announced that since Tyler had to leave due to his injury, a new participant was gonna join us. Guess who walked into the dorm? It was Larry. My heart sank. What was he doing there?
Hi, Abby. You'll regret turning me down.
That sneaky worm quickly convinced Max and Joe to team up against me.
Abby has a lot of fans, and she has the best chance of winning. Let's kick her out before she gets rid of us.
Joe and Max immediately forgot about our agreement and followed Larry's lead.
Apologize and say you'll be my girlfriend. Maybe I'll go easy on you then.
Keep dreaming. Larry thought I'd be scared of him, but instead, I got my second wind and came up with a way to get rid of all of my rivals in one fell swoop. To my surprise, Tyler called me and said his injury turned out to be minor and he'd already been discharged from the hospital.
I'm glad I left that terrible show. You should get out of there too, Abby. You were so kind and honest. Don't let money bend your morals.
It's too late for that. Tyler said he wanted to tell me a secret, but I didn't have time for that. I hung up, put my phone away, and got everything ready for my insidious plan. Soon, I shouted that dinner was ready and called the boys to the table. They eagerly grabbed the plates, lifted the lids off them, and screamed in horror. Instead of delicious lasagna, they saw disgusting worms I dug up from the garden.
Ew, I didn't sign up for this. Abby, you're a psycho. I can't stay here anymore.
They turned green, packed, and left the dorm. That meant I was the winner. Heck yeah! As soon as the filming was over, I was invited to an interview. I was very proud of myself for surviving a month in hell, and it felt like I deserved to brag a little bit. I was too tough for those guys, so I earned this money. After the interview, my dad suddenly came up to me. He looked distressed.
Abby, I shouldn't have tried to force you to date Larry. That wasn't right, and I knew that. Being a poor but good person is better than being a sellout. Now that I see what you've become, it makes me sad. Money turned my good girl into a villain.
Dad shook his head, disappointed. It got me thinking. He was the second person to tell me that I'd changed. It probably meant that they were right. Now I was mean and arrogant. Was I any better than Larry? I wanted to stay true to myself and decided to fix everything. That evening, the producers gathered all the show participants to hand me the $1 million check. I came up on stage to give a speech and get my winnings. I want to thank all the fans who were rooting for me, but I don't deserve this money and I want to give it all to Tyler. He sacrificed himself for his friend and he deserved to win. I came down from the stage and I handed the check to Tyler, who was staring at me with his mouth open. The audience ate it up, but what was even more important was I felt like I could respect myself again. I wanted to chat with Tyler, but then I saw saw the producer proudly hug him.
Well done, son. You played your part perfectly. I was right to choose you for the show. As expected, none of those naive children won the money.
What? Was Tyler Mr. Clark's son? The producer must have told Tyler about the secret phobias of the other participants to help him get rid of the other competitors. The blackout and the cockroaches? It was all his doing. I wanted to slap the living daylights out of them, but all I did was give Tyler a disappointed look and go home. When I arrived, I saw something terrible. Some people were carrying the furniture out of our house as Dad watched. He hadn't paid off his debts, and now we were losing everything. I came up to my dad, and I pulled him into a tight hug. I'm so sorry I let you down.
I'm the one who should apologize. You did the right thing when you refused to take the dirty money.
Larry called me to gloat again.
I'm giving you one last chance to apologize, and maybe I'll ask my father to help you.
To my surprise, Dad grabbed my phone and shouted at that arrogant jerk.
Abby has standards, and she'd never date a scumbag like you. Stay away from my daughter.
Even though we were penniless, at least we hadn't lost our dignity. At that moment, the loaders came up to us and said that someone had paid off all our debts. Dad's business, our house, and our furniture weren't gonna be taken away from us anymore. What? Do I have a fairy godmother?
I used my winnings to pay off all your debts.
I'm not much of a fairy, though. I turned around and saw Tyler. He was shyly smiling. Why did you do it?
You earned that money.
Let me explain, please. He said that his father made him take part in the reality show to control it from the inside. At first, everything had been going according to the producer's plan. The participants kept arguing over every little thing. But then I brought them together, and that became a problem.
The audience got bored watching us. Dad made me plant the cockroaches and do all that other stuff so we'd fight and make the show interesting again. But then I realized things had gone too far, and I tried to make everyone come to their senses. But by that point, no one was listening to me anymore.
When Tyler left, it became obvious to everyone that I would win, and the producer decided to invite Larry onto the show. Mr. Clark had expected me to give up and leave the show after that. After all, he had no intention of actually giving anyone the prize, and was determined to do everything just so there'd be no winner.
What my father did wasn't fair.
I wanted to right a wrong, that's all. Tyler was a good guy, after all. I couldn't stay angry with him, and I thanked him for doing something so noble. Soon, life went back to normal. Dad was happy to be back in business, and I focused on my studies. Tyler and I grew closer. His father decided to film the second season of the Dorm House show. We tried to convince Mr. Clark not to interfere.
You're too naive. The audience will get bored watching a fair competition.
Tyler and I decided to prove him wrong. We wanted to film a reality show of our own. Hi, I'm Super Nicole. Why super? That's what this story is about. But first, please like this video, subscribe to the channel, and most importantly, grab something delicious. I like eating popcorn while watching private diary videos. What about you? It all began when I was 5. That was the year my dad left. I decided he was a traitor and a coward, and I haven't talked to him since. My mom was amazing though. She used to be a famous athlete, but she had a career-ending injury. After that, she devoted her life to raising me. I had never seen her cry or give up. She was my hero. She was miserable after Dad left, though, and one day, I saw tear tracks on her face. I wanted to cheer her up. So, when she was cleaning up the living room, I decided to help her and I lifted the sofa. Yeah, you heard that right. A 5-year-old did that. Wow, Mom, look how strong I am. For some reason, Mom didn't seem surprised at all. She just hugged me, beaming. My super baby. You have a strong and healthy body. I think you should be an athlete. She convinced me I was special and different from the other kids. And she even bought equipment just so we could have a gym in our basement. Working out became my passion. Years passed. I grew up, went to high school, and made a lot of friends. But none of them knew that I had a perfect body and I was super strong. Why? I simply never told anyone about it. After all, my abilities had long since lost their novelty and seemed completely ordinary to me. Nicole, my car got stuck again. Can you give it a push? Oh, no problem. A lot of girls were jealous of my body. I never wanted to be the girl that people looked at, so I wore oversized clothes. Even though I was different from the other girls, we still had a lot in common. I was a huge fan of the Super 5, just like all my friends. The 5 were a group of students that went to a special sports school. They were real celebrities. And, well, of course they were. After all, each of the 5 had an awesome ability. For example, Joe set a bunch of records because he was fast as the Flash. Deborah could hold her breath underwater for a ridiculously long time. And the team captain, Patrick, was incredibly strong. They starred in movies and commercials, and they were stars on TikTok. The 5 inspired everyone to be better. After all, paparazzi often filmed them helping people just like they were real superheroes. So,
I can't see anything without my glasses.
Don't worry, I'll help you cross the road.
I dreamed of becoming a part of their team, so I started helping those in need, just like the 5. For example, I saved a kitten stuck in a tree. Subscribe to the channel if you would have helped it too. One day, I was coming home from school when I heard a cry for help. I found the guy in trouble and I asked him what had happened. It turned out his glasses had fallen through the sewer grates. He had tried to reach them and then his arm got stuck. What a klutz. I easily pulled the bars apart and I helped him free his hand and get his glasses. I can finally see again. How did you do that? You mean the drain grate? I just got lucky, I guess. The guy's name was Caleb. I didn't tell him I was super strong because I didn't want to brag. We got to talking and it turned out that Caleb was also a fan of the Super 5. He even dedicated his YouTube channel to them. However, he had very few subscribers. He had been going to a festival dedicated to a new movie about the Super 5 before he got stuck, and he invited me along. I want to thank my savior. We had a connection and we became inseparable. On our dates, we went to our idols competitions to cheer for them. Caleb kept trying to get backstage like a sneaky journalist to interview the team, but the security guards caught him and chased him away each and every time. Soon, my life was turned upside down. Patrick announced that he was leaving the Super 5 for an Olympics team. That meant there was now a spot on the Super 5. There was going to be a competition for a chance to join it.
Are you talented? Then pass our tests and join us.
OMG, that was my chance! I was very shy and I wouldn't have dared go for it if my mom hadn't encouraged me. Nicole, you're amazing. You should absolutely try. You're right. I've dreamed about it my whole life. I thought I would need to demonstrate how strong I was, but the jury cared more about my looks. They took so many photos of me, I felt like I was trying to become a model and not join a sports team. In the end, they finally let me demonstrate my abilities. The next day, they called me and said that I was now the new member of the Super 5. Mom was proud of me and I was jumping for joy. The team manager said I had to forget about the oversized clothes and only wear fashionable sportswear from then on. After all, the Super 5 had signed a contract with that clothing brand. At first, I felt too self-conscious, but my mom convinced me tight clothes suited me. Later, I told my boyfriend the happy news. Caleb didn't get mad at me for hiding how strong I was. On the contrary, he was over the moon. My girlfriend is one of the Super 5? Am I dreaming? He wished me luck and I went to my first practice. To be honest, I was very nervous, but my new teammates were very friendly. Welcome to the team, Nicole. Or should we say Super Nicole? My life changed after that. Being a part of the legendary team felt amazing. Everyone at school treated me like a celebrity. Wow, you look stunning. It was a real crime to hide such a nice figure. Can I take a selfie with you, Supergirl? And maybe even ask you out? Sorry, guys, but I have a boyfriend. I wasn't going to break up with Caleb. However, now I was so busy that I kept canceling all our plans. Don't worry, I get it. You need to practice. I know this sucks. I promise I'll make up for it and convince my teammates to give you an interview. I didn't get to enjoy my success for long. Soon, I realized that the lives of the Super 5 only seemed perfect. We had to train hard every day and then put on happy faces and star in commercials. To my disappointment, it turned out that all the seemingly random acts of kindness were actually scripted and filmed in a studio. Nicole, you're gonna notice that stroller is rolling into traffic and you've gotta stop it. I thought we'd be helping people for real. You're not here to think. Just look pretty and do what I say. Then, I accidentally overheard the manager talking to someone over the phone. Don't you worry, boss. The new girl doesn't suspect a thing. Well. That piqued my interest. It seems the sports school was hiding something terrible, but I decided not to get to the bottom of it. After all, I didn't want to be kicked off the team. I was enjoying my popularity, and I loved being a part of the Super 5. Caleb was mad at me because I hadn't gone on dates with him in a while. You know, Nicole, you've changed. Fame has gone to your head. His words pissed me off, and we fought. What made him think I had a swollen head? Okay, maybe he was a bit right. Now, I looked down on everyone at school, and I demanded special treatment. One of my classmates tried to sneakily take a photo of me. I lost my temper, and I almost crushed her phone. Sorry, I just wanted to take a picture of you for my sister. She's a big fan of yours. If you want a photo, be ready to pay for it. After that incident, everyone at school boycotted me. I didn't care about it, though. My new friends were the Super 5, after all. We trained together every day and became a real family. One evening, Deborah called me and invited me to a private party for celebrities. Of course, I immediately agreed. Then, Caleb suddenly came over and started saying all sorts of crazy stuff. Nicole, I found out the truth. The Super 5 are not what they seem. They're only nice in front of the cameras. They're actually narcissistic and selfish jerks. That hurt to hear. How dare he? I told him my friends were nothing like that, and Caleb and I had a big fight. I will
You'll prove that I'm right." With those words, he left, and I went to a party in a posh mansion. At first, things were going great. There were celebrities, all sorts of entertainment, and delicious food. But then, my teammates started acting weird, and that ruined my mood. They ridiculed the staff and insulted their fans. It felt like I had taken off my rose-colored glasses. Was Caleb right about them? That's when I saw him. Caleb had snuck in to find out the dirty secrets of the Super 5. The security guards immediately spotted him. Caleb tried to run away, but Joe quickly caught him. "Who are you? This is a private party." Caleb pointed at me and said I had invited him. "Nicole, tell them that you're my girlfriend." Everyone stared at me. I didn't know what to do. After all, if I helped Caleb, I'd be kicked off the team. And being one of the 5 was important to me. So I shrugged and said I had never seen him before. After that, Joe handed him over to the guards and asked them to kick him out. I felt like a traitor. I didn't sleep a wink that night. Besides, now I was convinced something shady was going on at the sports school. I tried to talk to my mom the next morning, but she told me that I shouldn't risk my future. I guess you're right. I was lost in thought on my way to school. All of a sudden, I realized a car was following me. It was scary. I walked faster and I was about to turn the corner. However, the car blocked my way and my dad got out of it. He was wearing a police uniform. I never knew he was a cop. "Nicole, sweetheart, I'm not your daughter, traitor. I know you're angry I left you, but there was a reason I did that. Please, give me a chance to explain." I didn't want to talk to him, but Dad hinted that he knew a secret my mom had been hiding from me my whole life. What? Okay, I'll hear you out. I got into his car and Dad told me that he had divorced from Mom because they had different ideas for my future. It turned out Mom's career had ended because she was caught doping. There had been no injury. That wasn't even the most shocking news. It turned out when I was a kid, Mom had signed a contract with the pharmaceutical company Ultimatum, and they were testing a secret drug for athletes at the time. Now that I thought about it, I did remember my mom giving me some pills when I was a kid. She had said they were vitamins, though. "I was against you participating in that experiment, but your mother wouldn't listen to me. We kept fighting and eventually we got divorced." I couldn't believe Dad with no proof, so I got out of the car and I ran home to confront my mom. She didn't even deny anything. "Nicole, I did it for you. Those vitamins made your body perfect, and you became strong thanks to them." "What? You didn't even ask me if I wanted it. Maybe I wanted to be a normal kid." "Don't you dare shout at me. Don't tell anyone about it. I signed a contract with Allerbomb. If the public finds out about the experiment, we'll lose everything we have." I didn't know what to do. It was so unfair. I called Caleb, apologized for my behavior, and told him everything. "I must be crazy, but I forgive you. Let's uncover the conspiracy together." We went to the Allerbomb office. While I was distracting the guards, Caleb snuck inside. "You're Nicole from the Super 5. My daughter is a big fan of yours." I did a whole autograph session, and that gave Caleb enough time to sneak around and find everything we needed. He was a born journalist. Later, we went to a cafe, and Caleb told me everything he had found out. "Nicole, this is nuts. It turns out that Allerbomb basically owns that sports school and the Super 5's show. Your teammates were given that drug when they were kids, too. That's what made you all unique athletes." It turned out that the CEO of that company was a scientist that came up with a way to cheat the doping control at the Olympics. The future athletes simply had to take drugs since childhood. Wow, that was just not fair. So that's what the manager of the Super 5 was trying to hide from me. What are we gonna do? Everyone should know about this, but we're gonna need help. I came to practice and I told my teammates everything. The secret drugs at the pharmaceutical company turned us into incredible athletes. I'm not gonna keep quiet about this. Are you with me? To my surprise, they glared at me. "Well done, Nicole. You're a real detective. Except we already knew all that. We don't want to change anything because we like being unique and popular. So keep your mouth shut if you don't want any problems." They said they would destroy my life if I told anyone about the drug. For the first time in my life, I felt truly scared. After all, there were powerful people from Allerbomb behind our super team. Besides, because of the contract Mom had signed, we would be sued if I told anyone the truth. What was I supposed to do? Later, I talked to Caleb and he came up with a solution. "You can't say anything because of the contract, but I can. They can't keep me quiet." "You're right. We could expose them in your blog." "Caleb, you're a real journalist. You're brave and fair. I'm sorry I almost ruined our relationship. I'm just glad you realized your mistake and came back to your senses." Now, we just needed to find evidence so everyone would believe us. We came up with a plan and snuck into the sports school. I came up to the manager and said I knew everything about the so-called vitamins. "Don't worry, I don't want to be kicked off the team. I know how to keep my mouth shut." "That's a wise decision, Nicole. Ollerbaum's CEO would be furious if someone found out he had managed to trick the Olympics committee.
The manager smiled smugly as he talked. Meanwhile, Caleb was hiding around the corner and filming our conversation on his phone. Unfortunately, Joe noticed him. Damn it. He snatched the phone out of Caleb's hand and ran into an elevator lightning fast. I didn't manage to catch up to him, but I wasn't about to give up that easily. So I used my strength to pull the elevator doors open, and I grabbed Caleb's phone. Yes! We won!
Not so fast.
The former captain of the Super 5 appeared behind me. His former teammates had apparently asked him for help. Patrick looked menacing and I stepped back. Oh no, I knew I couldn't beat him. Luckily, I had another trick up my sleeve.
You're in big trouble, Nicole. No, son, you are.
Ta-da! None of the 5 knew that my dad was a policeman and that I had asked him for his help. He came to the rescue and scared everyone with his badge. After that, we left the building without any problems. Caleb posted the video on his channel and it immediately got several million views and went viral. The sports school and the Ollerbaum company were investigated and shut down. Everyone responsible was punished, and the Super 5 were banned from playing professional sports for life. Nice! Great job, team! Mom was mad at me for destroying my future, but I was fed up with her lies and I chose to live with Dad. Caleb finally fulfilled his dream and became a famous blogger. I apologized to my classmates for the way that I had treated them. Now, sports are just my hobby. I still want to help people though. So after school, I'm gonna follow in my dad's footsteps and become a policewoman.
Tell me, have you ever wanted to peek into the secret life of celebrities to see how they act when the cameras are turned off and there are no fans around? You're in luck. So like this video. Today, I will take you behind the scenes on the life of a star. I'm Penelope, by the way. I became famous as a child after winning a talent contest. Ever since then, I had been singing kind songs about love and friendship that I composed myself. Do you know what my biggest dream was? I wanted to meet my soulmate. After all, I believed in love, and it always inspired me. The problem was, all my dates ended in complete disaster. Boys were only interested in me because I was a star. Take James, for example. He sneakily took a photo of me while I was picking my nose and posted it. He got a ton of likes and I got a bunch of haters. All my dates just wanted to use me as a springboard to become famous. None of them asked me out for the right reasons. One day, I was sitting in my dressing room and telling my friend Rachel about a handsome guy I'd recently met. William is such a sweetheart. If he turns out to be a hypocritical bastard, I will give up on love for sure. How will you compose songs then? I'll cross that bridge when I get to it. By the way, I'm going out with him tonight. Could you tell my mom I'm shopping with you? Mom was my producer, and she didn't want boys to distract me from making music. After each breakup, I fell into depression and couldn't sing or write songs for a long time. My friend agreed to cover for me. The next second, a gloomy guy called Adrian walked into my dressing room. Penelope, they're waiting for you at the rehearsal. I'm coming. I got goosebumps. That guy creeps me out. Who is he? Mom's assistant. She hired him recently. That's all I know about him. After the rehearsal, William and I went to an expensive restaurant. We spent the evening chatting and laughing sweetly. I thought I'd finally met the one. I didn't even get embarrassed when I accidentally got pasta all over me. It's so awesome that you act like an ordinary person even though you're a star. I am an ordinary person. It was a perfect evening. At least I thought so. The next morning, Mom woke me up and shoved a phone in my face. You never learn, Penelope. Have you been on a date again? Turned out William had taken a photo of my dirty face, made a meme out of it, and posted it for everyone to see. The photo went viral. No words can describe how gutted I felt. Mom scolded me, said I had to write a song for my new album by the end of the week, and left. However, I wasn't in a mood to compose. It hit me that I would never find love. What if it didn't exist at all? A couple days after that, I went to an annual charity masquerade ball. All the guests were wearing masks, so I wasn't afraid of being recognized. I was in the mood to have fun, so I went out on a balcony. A mysterious stranger was standing there. Not a fan of the noise either? Yeah. Do you mind if I stay here? You sound sad. Stay. Let's be sad together. I stayed on the balcony with him even though I didn't see that guy's face and didn't know his name. I felt relaxed. We spent the whole evening together. He seemed to like me back and asked me out on a date. That sounded amazing. But I was afraid of getting hurt again, so I offered him an unusual bet. Sorry, I've been burned too many times. Let's try something. I want to see if it's possible to fall in love with someone without seeing their face or knowing who they are. What do you say? We agreed to stay in touch without revealing who we are for a whole year and take off our masks at the next ball if we realized we were meant to be together. See you, beautiful stranger. See you, mysterious stranger. We texted each other every day. Over time, we grew close, even though we didn't meet again. I told Rachel all about it, but asked her to keep it a secret. I'm afraid to even imagine Mom's reaction if she found out about my secret boyfriend. You're like a sister to me. You can count on me. Then, my mysterious stranger texted me an address and said he'd left something for me there. Rachel and I headed there and found a huge heart-shaped balloon with a bunch of cute notes in it. Your prince is quite romantic. I know. I'm head over heels in love with him. After that, I was struck with inspiration and wrote a beautiful song. You gave me wings and taught me to fly. I'm so happy I feel I could cry. I handed the text to Adrian and asked him to give it to my mom. Soon I recorded that song in a studio, and it became a hit. I was more popular than ever, and it was all thanks to love. It never ceased to inspire me. I gave a lot of concerts and became an idol of girls just like me. Whenever I had free time, I texted my boyfriend. My loyal friend was also always there for me. What more could I wish for? Unfortunately, Mom didn't approve of my friendship with Rachel. She wanted me to think of nothing but music. Mom, I'm not a robot. I need friends. Don't be so naive. I used to have a best friend too. We were closer than sisters, but then she stole my boyfriend. Now I only believe in the power of money. You should follow my example. I'm sorry you were betrayed like that, but if I stop believing in love and friendship, I won't be able to write songs anymore. Just be careful who you trust. A year flew by. It was very intense. I was looking forward to two important events. First, I was nominated for a prestigious music award. I was invited to perform at the ceremony. I was nervous because I dreamed of it ever since I was a kid. Second, another masquerade ball was about to take place. I was over the moon that I would soon see the face of my mysterious boyfriend. At the same time, I was terribly afraid to take off my mask. There would be a lot of people at the ball. If things didn't go according to plan, I wouldn't want to cry in front of a crowd. That would appear in the news for sure. Being famous had its downsides. There was no privacy. I was trying to come up with a plan when I got a text from my boyfriend. He said he couldn't wait to see me and suggested we reveal our faces to each other before the ball. That was exactly what I needed. If we met in a cafe, we could talk without attracting too much attention. I agreed, but insisted we hide our names until the ball. After that, I left my phone on the dressing room table and went to the rehearsal. When I came back, my furious mom pounced on me. She had read my texts and found out about my secret boyfriend. I braced myself. Imagine my surprise when she said she was just worried about me. Sweetheart, you have an important award show coming up. Any scandal now could destroy your reputation. What if that guy turns out to be yet another scumbag and post something nasty about you? Make sure he can be trusted before telling him you're a famous singer. I loved my mysterious stranger, but my past relationships made me wary. I thought about my mom's words and even asked Rachel for advice. I need to be sure he's a good guy before showing him my face. How should I test him? We smiled slyly at each other, thinking the same thing. I know, Rachel, pretend to be me and go on a date with him. I'll watch you and see if I can trust him or not. Got it, sis. The next day I came to the cafe and got ready to spy on the couple. Rachel was sitting at a table and holding my mask from the ball in her hands so that my boyfriend would recognize her by it. Recognize me, I mean. This is confusing. Well, you get it. So a gorgeous guy walked into the cafe. He was also holding a mask from the ball, so I knew he was my mysterious boyfriend. He sat down next to Rachel and gallantly kissed her hand. Wow, what a gentleman. Hello, beautiful stranger. I can finally see your beautiful face. The longer I watched him, the harder I fell for him. By the end of the evening, I had no more doubts and was sure he could be trusted. After the date, I thanked my friend for her help and went home. Then I texted my boyfriend. He had impressed me and immediately got a reply. I liked you too. You're even more beautiful than I imagined. I can't wait to see you at the ball again. My heart sank. I realized he was praising Rachel's looks. What if he was disappointed when he saw the real me? Dang it, I should have thought of that earlier. For the next few days, I tried to figure out how to tell him he had been on a date with my friend. I went for a walk to clear my head. You'll never guess what happened next. I saw Rachel with my boyfriend. I couldn't believe my eyes. My friend would have never deceived me like that. I crept closer to the couple and overheard their conversation. I'm glad you weren't the real girl in the mask, Rachel. I fell for you at first sight. I'm so happy I met you. I felt faint and tears streamed down my face. Rachel had stolen my boyfriend and he was all too happy about it. I would never forgive him. Mom was right. I couldn't trust anyone. I ran to the studio and texted my now ex-boyfriend. I know everything. Forget about me. Goodbye. I blocked both of those traitors after that. Adrian knocked on the door of my dressing room and said everything was ready for my rehearsal. I'm not in the mood for it. Cancel everything. I'm not paid enough to listen to the whining of spoiled celebrities. He left, but soon my mom appeared. Sweetie, Rachel probably always envied your success. She knew you wouldn't be able to write songs if you stopped believing in love, so she stabbed you in the back right before the award show. Are you really gonna let her get away with it? I thought about mom's words. In the end, I decided to show everyone what I was capable of. Soon my fans were in for a surprise. I sang a new song about no longer believing in love or friendship at the award show. That's right, I was a bad girl now. At the end of my performance, I broke a special heart decoration with a bat. My performance was a huge success. I got a standing ovation. At first, Mom was furious with me for changing my image so dramatically, but then she saw that my ratings skyrocketed thanks to it and sang my praises. Keep up the good work, Penelope. One day, I was sitting in my dressing room and writing a new angry song when Rachel burst in there. How did you get in here? I told the security guards not to let you in. I climbed through the window. What do you want? Come to your senses. What was that at the award show, huh? It wasn't like you at all. You actually have the nerve to accuse me of something, traitor. I saw you hugging my boyfriend, or rather ex-boyfriend. boyfriend. Is that what all this is about? She burst into laughter and told me what actually happened. Turned out my mysterious boyfriend had also sent his friend called Stan to our first date. He and Rachel quickly realized they were both pretending, but they liked each other so much they decided to meet again. Stan and I became an item. I didn't tell you that it wasn't your boyfriend who came to the cafe back then because I didn't want to upset you before your performance. So you didn't steal my boyfriend? Of course not. When have I ever let you down? I felt a tremendous relief and pulled my friend into a bear hug. It was so stupid. So much drama over nothing. We have bigger problems right now. Why did you sing such rude songs? You are a role model for thousands of girls. They repeat everything their idol does and says. Rachel showed me bunches of videos of my fans' flash mobs. I saw girls tearing paper hearts while playing my song and saying that they would be bad girls like their idol. Jeez, what had I done? I decided I'd talk to my boyfriend and find out why he hadn't come to our date later at the masquerade. For now, it was more important to stop being a bad influence on my audience. That day, I asked my mom to organize a free concert. I wanted to tell my friends I had been wrong and love was real and friendship existed. Mom didn't like my idea. Are you kidding me? Your new bad girl image is selling well. Don't you dare change anything. It infuriated me that Mom only ever thought about money. As soon as she left, I started coming up with a new plan. Then, Adrian came up to me. Sorry, I overheard your conversation. I'd been working as a producer's assistant for a long time, so I could help you throw a free concert. Aren't you afraid Mom will fire you? No, my little sister is a huge fan of yours. I don't want her to follow a bad example. That's the only thing that matters. Adrian kept his word, and soon I was back on stage. But this time I only sang kind songs. At the end of the concert, I also made a speech. Guys, we all struggle to believe in the good of people sometimes, but the love in your hearts will beat the darkness. Just follow your dreams. That earned me thunderous applause. I walked off the stage and immediately saw my mom. She was red with anger. You disobeyed me again, Penelope. Sorry, Mom. My art is more important to me than ratings. I saw Adrian smiling shyly and came up to him. Thank you for your help. So weird. We've been working together for a long time, but I haven't noticed you before. You're a good guy, Adrian. And you surprised me too. Turns out you are not a conceited star and care about your fans. We talked for a long time and I was surprised by how kind he was despite his gloomy look. If we had gotten to know each other earlier, things might have turned out differently. But now, Adrian said he had a crush on someone. I'm in love with someone too, even though he hurt me. Seems we aren't meant to be. Yeah. The next day, I put on a mask and went to the city ball. There I met my mysterious stranger on the balcony again. I was still mad at him for sending his little friend on our date and gave him a piece of my mind. Right before our date, I thought that you would be disappointed and got scared. People often judge me because I look tough. You did the exact same thing and sent your friend in your place though. We fought like cats and dogs and argued which one of us was more to blame. But then we both realized we did all that because we were afraid of losing each other. Let's take off our masks. Ready? Wait, before I see your face, I want you to know that you are very important to me. This year, you were my biggest inspiration. After that, we tore off our masks. I looked at my boyfriend and couldn't hold back tears of joy. We were meant to be after all, Adrian. I can't believe it. You were always right in front of me. He kissed me as the sun set. Now I know it's possible to fall in love without knowing what your better half looks like or what their name is. It's very romantic, isn't it? I will always believe in love and friendship. Tell me in the comments down below what inspires you the most. Like this video and subscribe to the channel. Meanwhile, I'm going to write a new song inspired by this story.